All right, and I should know what episode it is. Hey, everybody, welcome to Hump Day Hangouts. This is going to be episode 382. I'm pretty sure I'm right. Right, Bradley? Oh, he's busy in the background.
I think so, man.
Yeah, we were just talking right before we got started. I was like, I didn't look to see what episode it is. Anyways, welcome.
Wait. It's actually 383.
There we go, 383. Well, whatever it is, welcome to Hump Day Hangouts. It's 4 p.m. Eastern on Wednesday. So it is time for Hump Day Hangouts, no matter what number it is. Doesn't matter. We're going to answer your questions today. So if you're watching live or you're lurking, go ahead and pop your question onto the page. If you're catching the replay and wondering where this actually takes place, you can always join us live at semanticmastery.com/HDHO or /HD questions and pop your question on the page ahead of time. Head over to YouTube, subscribe to the channel, and that way you get updated when the videos are released after the fact. We not only give out the whole replay, but we also chop it up so you can go back and see the questions. And a lot of people find that helpful, and we hope you do as well. So I'm going to say hi to the guys real quick, and then we've got a couple announcements, and then we'll jump into the questions. So Chris, how's it going today?
Doing good, still recovering from the snowboarding sunburn I got the last day. Like, I pretty much hit the jackpot because I don't know why. Sun was just like unrelentlessly shining on us.
Nice.
But like really good trip. Well, really good trip. It's been, I think, 2 years since I went to like a proper vacation. So it was definitely needed, and productivity is up here now, like definitely nice. Good. And what I wanted to ask you before you move on, because somebody else asked me, do we still have a journal that people getting for when they're joining the mastermind?
Say it one more time. Sorry, I didn't catch it.
No? Okay. Well, I might have some other ideas then.
All right.
The journal, you mean? You were talking about what? The best self journal?
Yeah.
Do they don't get that now?
No,
I don't know. Like, I'm asking.
Nope. Oh. We got other things, but I don't want to give it away. But yeah, not the journals, but it's one we highly recommend. And if for anyone who's not sure what we're talking about, the best self journal, great paperback, or I guess it's a hardcover journal for daily journaling and goal and task setting. So
yeah.
Really
There's another one that I've been using recently called the Get Stuff Done journal or something like that. I'm looking at it right now. It's Get Stuff Done.
That's nice. So I assume it's based off of like GTD, like getting things done method or something.
Yeah, it's very similar to the best self journal. I like the layout a little bit better. So I've actually been using that now for the last maybe 5 quarters, because it's it's a 90-day journal, just like the best self journal, but very good. Just helps plan out your day every day and then kind of score it at the end of the day, and just really helps keep you on track. So
nice. Well, speaking of you, Bradley, how you doing, man?
I'm good. Busy as all hell. Things are good. Just been crazy. I got my link building business has been still growing, which is awesome. And I've got more personnel in place and a project manager in training, and she's doing awesome, and everything is good. And just got a lot of stuff going on. We got the Build with Bradley group, which is slowed down a little bit because the directory site that we're building is just, the new theme has been just a beast to try to learn how to, like, I'm not a WordPress designer or developer, never have been, don't enjoy it. I honestly don't like building websites. I like SEO. I love SEO, but I don't like building websites. So I've always stuck with like one theme developer for a long time because the templates were, I learned them and I just stuck with that. And more recently, last year and a half, 2 years, I've been using Elementor a bit to kind of design like one-page sites, because again, I don't like elaborate sites and all that for lead gen. For the types of industries that I'm in, you really don't need all that stuff. So I just learned how to, develop, create like one-page sites. Basically, when I say one page, I mean I have the standard pages too, but pretty much everything on one page. And then all of a sudden, I jumped into WPGeo directory. It's like I got to learn everything all over again, and it's just been really, really frustrating. But I think today I made some good headway finally, and hopefully I'll have a template ready for the other members, because we're trying to progress that a little bit forward. So those of you that don't know what I'm talking about, I got a group that I do every other Thursday called Build with Bradley. We're working on a directory site right now, and then as soon as that's done, we'll be moving into like building a prospecting machine out of it, which hopefully will be next week. We're going to start that. So anyway, if you're interested in that, come join the mastermind and you can find out more.
You're completely downplaying that, right? I mean, people don't even realize like why we're actually building the directory site. So Bradley pretty much has like a very secret strategy or weapon how to use that directory site to get a massive amount of leads. And well, if you actually ever struggled and like people didn't like the way you called them, or like you reached out to them and were like not interested about your services, well, it should maybe give you a hint about how well this is actually working, and like what we got to play here. Like I always think Bradley is completely playing it down, but I might be wrong.
No, I mean, it's a great strategy. It's been the most successful method I've used for prospecting in my entire digital marketing career. You know, it combines some of the other things that were really successful too, which is like video, email, and such. But you know, approaching target prospects as anything like as with the typical approach, which is like, hey, I can get you more leads or better results, and that kind of, you know, they hear that shit 15 times a week from marketing and advertising companies, and spam and Angie and House Call Pro. I don't know if those of you guys that are watching or listening that are in the contracting industries, but House Call Pro is now replaced Yelp as the biggest spammer. Like we get called 5-6 times a week, no kidding, from House Call Pro. And I just, no matter how many times I tell them to take us off their solicitation list, they just keep calling and calling and calling. And so it's the same kind of shit that all business owners deal with. So the directory prospecting method is just, it's so much easier to start a conversation because you're not approaching them as like, hey, I got something that's going to help you. It's like, I just want to confirm your information for your free directory page or a free listing on the directory site. And so they'll reply back, and it initiates a conversation without it being salesy. And then during that conversation, it's how you get into like, well, hey, well, by the way, what are you doing for leads? Like, how are you generating leads? And it's a much easier transition than like, because as soon as they smell that it's a marketing company, like they completely throw up their defenses. And at least in the contracting industries, and I can't imagine it's any different in any other industry. So the directory method has just been really, really good to be able to like kind of break the ice and start a conversation, because I approach them as a tech specialist with the directory site, not as an SEO or a marketing guy or anything else. So that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, if you're interested in that, definitely check the mastermind out.
Nice. Well, yeah, then I'll keep mine short. So yeah, for that reason and so many others, you know, it's for agency owners, consultants, lead gen people. If you got a brick and mortar, we got some real store owners who also learn, do, or have others do what we teach. So find out more at mastermind.semanticmastery.com. I was looking around, I had a note, but I think it was just for a question. There was a couple good questions in the Facebook group, so I've imported those in. If you're watching and you have a question, go ahead and pop that onto the page. So other than that, I almost forgot. That was it. Bradley, there's going to be a webinar for people who took advantage of Jeremy's press release offer, right?
Yeah, next Monday, 3 p.m. Eastern.
Is there, I haven't checked, but if people can still get it and take advantage of the offer, will they can come to the webinar, right?
Yes. And I believe it's open until Jeremy gets back from he was on a short trip to go check out where he's moving to. He's moving halfway across the country for real. So I know he was on a trip, but I think he was coming back today. So he said he was going to leave it open until he got back. So it's still open. It's still open.
Yeah, let me grab that link for anyone who didn't watch. I think we had over 400 people who have watched it. If you missed out, you know, we sent out some emails. We had it in the Facebook group, so you might have heard of it. But if you haven't checked out the webinar, I'll put it on the page, and go check that out before Jeremy gets home. If you want to take advantage of that, there's a link in the description of the video. Grab that, and then we'll be sending out the invites to the people who have taken advantage of that.
Yeah, pretty much anyone who is doing press releases should check it out, because there are a couple new tricks that might be interesting in how you're doing press releases.
Yeah. Well, not only that, but he built in recently automation that builds in like drive stack components. So, you know, anybody that's been following us for any period of time knows, you know, we use Google properties and drive stacks and G sites and all that. And well, he built in an automation for the premium press releases that automatically builds some of the drive stack components directly to the press releases. So it's just like
awesome.
It's perfectly aligned with what we teach, but also the just some of the methods that it's evolved, right? We did Local PR Pro, which was our training product on how to use press releases specifically for ranking maps or Google business profiles. And that still works, but it works in a different way. And it, constantly evolves. And press releases in and of themselves don't have as much like, SEO punch as they did maybe 2 years ago. But if you use them the traditional way, but if you use them for branding, if you also use them for like referral traffic sources, when you're doing click-through rate manipulation, they're still very, very powerful. And so I'm going to be teaching kind of how I've been using them more recently on the webinar next Monday.
Sounds good. Let's jump into it. Let's see. I'm just pulling it up. Who's got the first question? Rohing?
Okay, yeah, I've got that. All right. So, hey, SM Mastery or Semantic Mastery, is there any legit social signal services we can use to help boost our SEO and get some real engagement and potential traffic from non-spammy social posts that are made on orphan bot pages like all the social signal packages? I don't know. And I know what you mean because it's been probably 4 years now since I did this, but I tested several social signal services it's probably been 4 years ago and I know what you mean. Like most of them are they're fake social signals. And so do they help at all? And I didn't see any benefit from using them. And I tested a bunch of different services. But like I said, that was several years ago. There was one service that no longer is valid or works anymore, but it was actually one by Dan Anton that was like tiered social signals that were really good. Because here's what you're asking about for everybody else that doesn't know, like, just going out and getting fake, Facebook likes and tweets and, Pinterest pins and that kind of stuff on pages and accounts that are used specifically only for that like, what is the value of that? What is the benefit of that? And I didn't see any, and it may have changed because it's been a few years since I tested it, but it doesn't seem like to me fake social signals would become better or stronger now. And in fact, it seems like they would be even less of a, produce less of an effect if they produced an effect at all to begin with, which I didn't see that with my own testing. So, and think about why, because if there's profiles out there that all they do is like and plus and all kinds of, it's all they do. Like they don't have real engagement with others and with real profiles and where they're commenting and, having discussions and that kind of stuff and have certain things that they're particularly, that they engage with more often than others. If it's just random stuff that they're constantly liking and sharing, it just seems like it's a very easy way for the algorithm to just discredit that stuff, discount it. Not that it's harmful, but is it helpful? And if it's not helpful, why do it? And so I just stopped spamming social signals a long time ago because of that reason. There are like share. I know there are some services. I don't know any of them off the top of my head because I haven't used them, but there are some services that you sign up for and you pay for on a monthly basis. And, you submit to a pool of others that are in that can engage with it and stuff like that. I can't think of the name of it off the top of my head, but I know there's a service that does that. Triber, maybe with TRIBERR. Check that out. That might be one of them. I'm just trying to think off the top of my head, but let's try Content Marketing Suite for Influencers and Bloggers. This might be it, but I think this is it, actually. You might want to check this out. Try Triber.com because that is real people. It's not for like spamming, obviously, but if you've got, content that you're trying to pump out there and get engagement on, then I think you can sign up and you can create like different groups or categories that are interested or, about certain groups or certain content, certain topical categories. And then you submit your content in and they engage with it and share it and like it. And it's relevant because it's real people and it's about, it's segmented or separated by category types. So those people are interested or those, the people in that group or share kind of a common interest. And so it would make sense for them to plus, share, like, comment on that kind of content because that's what they're typically interested in, right? And if they're real profiles, then it should make, I haven't tested this, but to me, it seems like something that would be you know, and I don't know what the pricing is on any of this either, to be honest with you, but it seems like this would be a service, and there may be others. I'm just the only one I could think of off the top of my head that you might want to check out. There are other services, like I pulled this up, like SEO Butler. I've heard that this is a good service, but like I said, probably about 4 years ago, I tested a bunch of different social signal services and I didn't find any benefit. So I don't know that these are valuable at all. I just haven't done it. So I know that, you know, some people say if you're going to be building links to your site, your content, pages on your site, that you should also get social signals. But my point is, if they're fake social signals that can clearly be identified algorithmically that they're bots or they're fake profiles that are doing it, then why? The other one I would suggest is, you know, Damon Nelson has his RSS stuff, and he's got what he calls minions, and he's got minion builder training in a minion builder database, which is a product where you can like create social profiles and house it's a separate database. You keep all their login information and all that stuff in. And he developed his training specifically around how to create kind of like your own social army of real fake people, or fake real people, right? Fake real people is, I think, what he says. So I would check that out if I were you, and see if, you know, maybe that's something you'd be interested in, because there's probably, as part of his group, some sort of like, and I don't know this for sure, but likely some sort of like share groups and stuff as well, where you could join with others that are in similar industries, or, you know, and promote each other's content using the kind of minions that you create with his stuff. So that's Damon Nelson's Minion Builders. You might want to check into that. Okay, Evan says, hey crew, wondering what your opinions are regarding rank and rent. How do we go about securing GMBs, service area? And do you find clients first before launching the site? Not sure on the order, as I want to have paying customers first, but they will likely want to see rankings before going ahead. Yeah, for rank and rent, obviously that's, I mean, I say obviously, but you asked the question, so it's not obvious. It's not obvious, obviously. Yeah, I mean, rank and rent, that's the whole point. You rank it first, and then you know, produce the asset, get it ranking, and then it's much easier generally to get to rent out the asset on a monthly basis, or to do pay per lead. Or, you know, the way that I like to monetize my lead gen assets is revenue share, which is where I get a percentage of all the closed leads. So the revenue generated from any job that gets sold. But yeah, it's become a lot more difficult to get GMBs for sure. You can still go with rank and rent doing organic stuff, but it has definitely gotten a lot harder to get Google business profiles because of video verification stuff, which makes sense. Google's cracking down on that. We know we've gotten away with it for years, but you know, the only thing I could suggest about rank and rent, which that's, you know, again, that's one way to do it, but you can also do pay per lead, and there's a number of ways to monetize that sort of thing. But rank and rent is a good strategy, but you may have to go with just organic stuff for now. The thing about that, though, is you can, you know, if we have to evolve and change our strategies, guys, it is what it is. That's part of the business, right? That's part of what we have to deal with. It's always a cat and mouse game in SEO. So the thing is you can use rank and rent like organic sites to land clients that have Google business profiles. So real valid businesses that then you can get them on a retainer basis, or you can work out even like a hybrid model where you tell them, like, let me give you an example. If you go out and rank a website or for organic, because you can do that without a Google business profile, right? So you go out, build a site, rank it organically, and it's going to generate some leads, not near as much as Google business profiles do. There's no question, at least in the industries like service area businesses, which are what I'm in. Then yeah, you're going to see that you can still, and with Google business profiles, that's where about 70% of the leads that I generate come from. Okay. But you can still get some leads from organic, and you can use the organic ranked site as kind of like proof that you know what the hell you're doing. And you can approach businesses that aren't in the Maps 3-pack and say, like, hey, look, I'm ranked #1 or in the top 3 or whatever for these different keywords for your product, your services in your local area. And I see that you're not ranked in Maps. Would you like to work with me? Right? You could You could rent them that site that you have organically, and then you could talk to them about optimizing their Google business profile because they already have one, right? It's just might not be in the top 3. So you don't have to worry about verification. You could even do a hybrid model, like I said, where instead of just on a normal traditional like monthly retainer, where like you're acting as an agency and they're your client, you could offer to do like, hey, look, I'll take over, optimizing your Google business profile and ranking it for you at my expense. But once it starts to rank, whatever leads are generated, you pay me on a pay-per call basis or pay-per-lead basis. Does that make sense? So there's a number of ways to do it, right? You could do the normal traditional like agency client relationship where they're on a monthly retainer. You charge them, $1,000 a month or whatever to rank their Google business profile. In the meantime, they can rent or just pay per lead for the leads that you're generating from your organic site. Or you could do, like I said, some sort of a hybrid model where they rent the site from you, the organic site from you, for a flat monthly fee. And then you say, okay, I'll take over and at my expense, I'll optimize and rank your Google business profile, but change the phone number to a tracking number, and all the calls that come in, you get paid for, right? So you get paid for all the qualifying calls. There's a number of ways to do that. But you got to get a little bit more creative. If you can't go out and create and secure Google business profiles right out of the gate anymore, because Google's put a stop to that, then you have to come up with alternative ways. And using organic sites is one way to do it. You could also do it with ads like Google ads and such, but it's so expensive. It's really hard to turn a profit for lead gen using Google ads. I found it's damn near impossible. So, I think the next best thing is to use organic rankings to start a conversation with those target prospects. And then you can work out an agreement with them that makes sense for both of you, right? If it's win-win. I like doing the like pay per lead or a hybrid model, a revenue share model, because then there's skin in the game, right? When you have a traditional like relationship, which is, retainer agency client model, then the client's going to pay you a certain amount every month, regardless of whether you're getting them results or not. Now, obviously, they're going to cancel with you if you're not getting them results. So your incentive is that you want to keep that retainer coming. But what about when you get them ranked and then they cancel on you? Like what happens to me a lot in the tree service industry, which is why I prefer to do with lead gen stuff, is I get every year, there's a lot of churn in the tree service industry, because if I get a client in the springtime and I rank them over the next, 3-4 months, I get them ranked, and then they're crushing it all year long. And then winter comes along at the end of the year, around November time, is when I start losing tree service clients, because things start to slow down and they all say, well, I'm going to cancel, but I'll be back in February or March, or, somewhere beginning of spring, I'll be back. But the problem is all the SEO work that I did typically sticks. And so March comes around, like it's March right now. And I had several tree service clients, again, do the same every year, same shit. Last year, around November time, I had several different tree service contractors call and say, because it's the winter and things slow down, I don't want to be paying $1,000 a month. So we're going to suspend services now, but we'll come back in March. Well, here it is, the middle of March, and I haven't had a single fucking one of them, which happens every year, come back and say, okay, I'm ready to start SEO services again. Why? Because they're still ranked. Why would they need me? And so that's why I said I like to do some sort of different type of model than just, I'll still take on clients, don't get me wrong, but I don't like that, because they, especially when you do really good for them, a lot of contractors especially will just quit. They'll just say, hey, I'm already ranked number 1. Why am I paying this guy anymore? And that's just, it's infuriating. So when it comes to like, how else could you monetize it? And that's where I think, so doing something where, you rank, you can do a rank and rent, or, on organic, okay, I'll rent you my site for $500 a month or whatever. And then I'll work on your Google business asset, but we're going to change the phone number to a tracking phone number so that I can track all the leads. Use something like what I do, which is high level. And I force all of my lead buyers to subscribe to my high level app, which is just a sub account that I create in high level for $100 a month. And that I use to track all the leads. That's our lead. I call it a lead management app, and it helps them to manage their leads as well. But it also enables me to be able to track all of the leads, inbound leads that are coming in from either phone calls or form fills. They all come into the high level account. And so I can see the status of that lead at any time. And if I'm charging on a pay per lead basis, I can charge accordingly, get, bill accordingly for that. But most of them I do revenue share model, because with revenue share model, they don't pay unless they close the sale. Like, in other words, they only pay for leads that made them money. And so it makes sense And it's incentive for me to get the phone call the phone ringing, and to help them get better at closing sales. And so that's part of the reason I like to use the lead management app, because it sends notifications to the customers and like automatically and all this other stuff. So it really does help them to be more efficient, to close more sales. And they have to pay $100 a month to use it, which covers my expenses for I use a call center, and it covers like the Twilio costs and a Google Workspace account and the email, stuff like that. But that way, again, it's incentive, right? It locks them in. Plus, they get used to using the app. And so even if they want to cancel, which they don't, because we have a good relationship typically with that sort of when I'm generating a lot of leads for them in that sort of a relationship, then they don't want to cancel, because then I can pull the plug, right? And that's the whole point. You lock them in, but provide good service. But what I'm saying is, with a regular like agency client relationship, again, I see it every year. Every year I rank tree service contractors that are normal clients. And then I lose several of them. So there's always this churn. But on the lead gen side of things, generally, once I have a good lead gen arrangement with a particular contractor, they stick for years. And it's because, why wouldn't they, So that would be my advice to you, Evan, would be to try to, first get the rankings. Yes. Start with organic, but you can use that as a way to lock in Google business stuff in any number of ways that I just described. Okay. It was a good question, by the way. Biba says, hey guys, have you ever said, fuck all the SEO and went to paid full on? You mean like paid traffic? I've thought about it, but I just when I thought I was out, they pull me back in. I can't help it. I love SEO. So I found it, I don't know. I guess first of all, I hate Facebook, and I don't like Facebook ads. I have no desire to run Facebook ads. Google, I like running ads on like YouTube, and search ads are just so hard to make profitable, especially on lead gen for clients. And I'm not crazy about it. I like SEO because I like trying to figure stuff out. So the answer is, have I ever done it? Have I ever said fuck it and go full on paid traffic? No, I've used paid traffic, but I can't get away from SEO. I enjoy it too much. So I think SEO is higher value too for clients, because again, like, think about it though. I guess that's kind of counterintuitive what I just said, because if I was just managing SEO, ads, paid ads for tree contractors, and they decided they didn't want to they cut me off, like, okay, well then they'd have to find another paid ad provider, or else, because when they stop paying, the traffic stops. With SEO, you can rank them, and then they stick sometimes. Not always, but a lot of the contracts, because a lot of the stuff that I do ends up working really well. And so, they stick, and it just pisses me off, because, there's a lot of churn, and and it's just it's just one of the industries I'm in. It's a seasonal type of business. So every single winter I go through this, and that's why I try to do mostly everything. I try to build all my assets or relationships around lead gen assets, so that I can, I maintain control, right? But again, in a win-win way, because with the revenue share, when traffic slows down, like because of the winter season, we still get calls in the winter. We just don't get as many, but they're only paying for calls that make money. So why would they get like the revenue share model, which is my preferred method to work with tree service contractors? In that case, it doesn't make sense for them to want to cancel with me, because they're not paying if no calls are coming in, right? And it's the same thing with pay per lead, by the way. Rank and rent, though, like if it's a seasonal business, you'll find that it's going to be hard to keep people wanting to pay when the calls are slower. But it's funny, because during the busy season, when their call volume was way, way up, they don't want to pay extra either. And that's what I used to say to guys. I've got a couple like grandfathered rank and rent stuff from people from contractors from years ago that are still just paying like a really small amount, because it's like no maintenance work on any of those assets. But it was funny, because I would get the calls in the winter when things would slow down, and they'd be like, I don't want to be paying $500 a month at the time, because I don't do much anymore at that. But if I was charging $500 a month, I get the call in the winter when things would get slower. Well, I don't really want to be paying $500 a month when the calls aren't coming in that much. And then I'd say, okay, fine, I can reduce it. But in the summer, when the calls are real high, I'm going to raise it from 500 a month to 1,000 a month because the calls are coming in more. Oh, no, I don't want to do that. Okay, well then, how can you call me and say that you don't want to pay the 500 a month when the calls are slow, but then tell me you don't want to pay a higher price when the calls are coming in hot, like more volume of calls are coming in? Does it make sense? No, of course not. But that's part of the reason why I said I think there's better ways to do it than just rank and rent. Although that is the easiest way to do it. Here's the thing with rank and rent, I would say the best way to do rank and rent is to keep your cost, like the cost lower, because then it's easier to maintain that customer or that client, that lead buyer. You don't make as much money that way, but it's certainly easier to manage. You don't have to have all the infrastructure in place to track everything. And it's also, if you keep it at a reasonable rate that they're not going to bitch about, they're not going to complain about, that it's less likely that you'll lose them at some point if things slow down. So.
Well, my turn on that is there's really no reason why you cannot do SEO and paid ads. And the thing is, they both have their positives and negatives. They both have their issues and struggles. And on the paid ad ones, like, so for example, if you're doing just really local and you're doing the area targeting and not just keyword search, for example, you pretty much can set it up and forget it. But then again, like if you're doing it for Facebook or like TikTok or one of the other more social platforms, don't forget that you always gotta replace the ad image, the ad text and stuff, because like there's just too high of a burn rate. And if you don't update those advertisements as well, Facebook will not show you the love, or like whatever platform it is. And as I said, like if it was me and I would do it locally, I would provide it both services. And if I just want to do either SEO or like just the paid one, for the other one, I'll probably find a partner or like somebody else to outsource it to and charge them for it.
Yeah. Yeah, just like I said, I found it very difficult in the tree service industry to make Google ads profitable. It really is tough. And because, like, for example, well, right now it's probably not near as high, but during the busy season in Northern Virginia, which is where most of my tree contractors are, it'll be $50, $55, $60 per click for tree service near me, tree removal near me, tree service plus city, tree removal. Those are the top keywords. Tree trimming keywords are usually a little bit less, but let's say $50 a click. Let's just use that as an example. A good conversion rate when you're paying for PPC is 30%, right? 35%. So that means for every 30 to 35%. So for every 3 clicks you get 1 conversion. And so if you think about that, that's $150. And so each click does not mean it's a lead. So when people say like, $50 per click, CPC, cost per click, they're thinking, I know a lot of people think, oh, well, that means every time I get a click, I'm getting a lead. No, bullshit. And not only that, but there's a lot of click fraud. And you'll see that, like, especially in those kind of industries where you get a lot of clicks that have no intention from anybody ever trying, they're not real customers. There's click fraud that happens. And there's tools and services out there that help to prevent that to a degree, but none of them are foolproof. And so what I'm saying is, if you've got a good landing page and it's dialed in and you're getting 35% conversion rates, then you're doing fairly good so $150 for 1 lead, right? That's 1 lead. And so it's hard to do that and make that profitable, I found, at least in the industry that I'm in, which is tree services. So like I said, it's difficult to do. I just stick with SEO because it seems to be a much higher return on investment. Anyway, will it be right time to do all time paid? Again, I don't know. I mentioned this before. I spent last year trying to make lead gen on YouTube for tree service leads. And I spent about $8,000 in 6 weeks on trying to dial in YouTube campaigns, geo-targeted YouTube campaigns for generating, tree service leads from YouTube ads. And I got it down at the end of the 6-week trial. And again, I'd spent $8,000 testing and kind of trying to dial it in. And I got it down to consistently being able to generate the cost per lead or cost per acquisition to about $58. So, and that was consistently around the last week that I was doing that, I was generating leads at about $58 cost per acquisition. And, but that was still so high, and I was doing it on a lead gen side. So, you know, I do sell on a pay per lead basis, and I will sell the lead up to 3 times. My lead buyers are aware of that. So, but not all leads get sold 3 times. It just means they can be sold 3 times. And I sell each tree service lead at $25 per lead. When it's on a, if somebody wants exclusive, then I charge them $50 or $60 for exclusive leads on a pay per lead basis. But if I'm charging them 25, which most tree guys just want to pay 25 per call, I tell them that's fine, but it can be sold up to 3 times. Again, they don't always get sold 3 times, but sometimes they can be sold up to 3 times. So to 3 different contractors, and essentially, so that'd be $75 if the lead got sold to 3 contractors. And so if I was generating a lead at $58, I would have to sell it 3 times in order for it to be profitable at all. Right. And if it didn't sell 3 times, if it only sold twice or only sold once, then I've just lost money. And so it wasn't sustainable, which is why I killed the campaign. And that was, again, I was trying to do it specifically with YouTube. Now, I may try to revisit that this year again at some point, but I found it just too difficult to make profitable. Okay. What bugs me in SEO is content creation, either the content of backlinks or the content of money site. I think that passing all the content to a VA is risky. It takes time to make him a subject matter. And until he does become one, he might leave. That's why I feel that paid is more profitable. What is your take on this? Now, I mean, you don't, if see, BB, you need to come join the mastermind because we teach a lot of different ways. You don't have to be a subject matter expert to be able to produce content. You have to know how to research and develop outlines. If you can do keyword research or topic research to begin with, because it really is about researching topics first, then developing an outline. Keyword research is kind of it's kind of a subset of topic research, and develop a well-optimized outline. And you can use other already ranking content. That's what all the tools do, like Surfer SEO, outranking. Another one that's really good that I like a lot is called WriterZen. It's on AppSumo. At least I think it's still on AppSumo. But those kind of tools can help you to develop an outline structure based upon already ranking content from subject matter experts. And then you can use AI tools to help assist that writing. So you don't need subject matter experts. You need writers or bloggers that know how to use, or VAs that know how to use those tools very efficiently. They're proficient with the tools. Right. If you can do that, now there are some certain industries where you might have to be like, certain parts of the legal industry and maybe medical stuff where you really do need to have subject matter experts. But for most of the stuff that we do in SEO, you just need to have people that understand how to use tools that are available to produce well-tuned content in whatever topic it is that you need. And that's what we do. We even have our own business. It's not available to the general public yet, but it's called Content Kings, where we do that. We generate well-tuned content, optimized content for clients, for money sites, and for our members in the mastermind and all that. Did you want to chime in, Adam?
Yeah, I was just going to say, sorry, I know it's not public yet, but I can't help, I just got back that draft article for a non-local, and it's awesome. So I've still got to go through because it's crazy. I think we ended up, I put it in the order. Granted, for people who don't know, it's written to be as long as it needs to be. I got back a 2,300 word article, and it's awesome. So I got to go through and do a final sanity check on it and do a little bit. But that it's looking good.
Yeah. So BB, again, it's there are ways around everything. As SEOs, that's what we do. So. Good questions, though. So Adam's got a few here posted from inside the Facebook group. We got about 20 minutes left. He says, who do you recommend for outsourcing? Now, take into consideration that we prefer to tackle cloud stacks as if it were a traditional silo. You've got your primary keywords, supporting keywords, and create optimized content for each page. And lastly, create the kind of link wheel with those pages. That came from a Semantic Master email, or is that? Oh, so he was quoting one of our emails. Is that what he's saying?
Yeah, I think she had copied it in there. Just so let me see. I think I'd put, so she's asking, who do you recommend for outsourcing that part of it?
Well, okay, so I'm going to recommend who to outsource the cloud stacks to, but they're not built with the silo fashion. If you're going to, like, right now, and in fact, I should probably build that into my link building service, but I haven't yet. If you're going to do cloud stack stuff, then, and you want to build it with like a traditional silo, which makes sense to do so. It's more powerful that way. You're going to have to do that in-house for now, right? You're going to have to learn the methods and do it in-house. It's not that difficult to do once you understand how to set up, cloud pages on the different hosting providers. And I can point you to not only the provider that I was going to mention, but also to his training, Jesper Nissen. He's got fantastic training on cloud stacking, and he's got a cloud stacking service that he does. So a done for you service. And Jesper Nissen, so JESPER .com, Jesper Nissen, NISSEN.com. I'll put this on the page, but here's his courses, and he's got the cloud stacking SEO course, that's precisely what we're talking about. Now his method isn't, he teaches how to do cloud stacking, and he does some very unique stuff with how he does it. What I was saying was, if you take that, his training and his method, and then also you work into it like traditional silo type structure with your main keyword and then supporting keywords with each different page optimized for one of the supporting keywords, one of the more longer tail type keywords. And then you kind of link wheel all that stuff together, which he does link wheels and everything as well. But if you do it with the way that I'm talking about, it's even more powerful, right? It's even more valuable. But like I said, his course is amazing. It's $150. So I would highly encourage you to go check that out if you want to do that. Learn it, and you can train a VA how to do it. However, he does have his services that I've actually purchased quite a few of them for link building clients. It's his cloud stacking service. It's really good. Now, again, it's not a full silo, but it's really, really powerful. And it's one of my favorite things to do for my link building clients is like in month one is to get a cloud stack for them, because this is very, very powerful. And you see the structure that he builds right here. And the Microsoft Azure page is the buffer page. That's where all the power goes. So he builds all these 6 other Amazon S3 pages, and then these other Google Cloud and Microsoft Azure, and he powers them up with sheets, and all that's a link wheel, but it all exits through this one into the buffer page. So that's like the money cloud page right there. And that's the one that I build my link building services to, which is what I call semantic links. So those are like topically relevant source domains that we use, and we build those out with topically relevant content. It's in the appropriate topical category, all of that. And so I buy these, and then I take that buffer page and I do work, build my links to those, and all of that ends up pushing out through to the target, that's weird how that image is doing that, to the money site right there, if that makes sense. And again, it's jespernissen.com. It's fantastic service. His course is amazing. In fact, I took his course first. And then once I went through his course, I was like, man, this is awesome. But I didn't have the time to train a VA how to do it. So it was just a matter of like a couple of weeks later. And he was like, I'm launching a done for you service. And I was like, I'll be your first customer. I swear to God. I was like, I'll be your first customer. And I bought a 10-pack as soon as he launched it. And I've been using those for clients, and it's a really good service. So I would check it out. Adam says, okay, the next one was from, hey folks, any plans to update the Content Kingpin course? The sections on Tube Kingpin, Curation Traffic, and Curation Suite and Browseo are all obsolete. It's not I don't have any plans to update that just because I don't have the time. It's not something that, we sell a whole lot of those. So the methods are still accurate, and they're still the same that my content team still uses curated content. Curation Traffic, Curation Suite, that was never really much of a part of my process. I think Adam did some bonus training on that. And I know that service went out of business couple of years ago now. Tube Kingpin, that was Zane Miller that he did that. I don't do a lot of YouTube SEO stuff anyways. I use paid ads for YouTube stuff. I use YouTube ads a lot. So no, I don't plan on it. Browseo is obsolete. Yeah, but there's Session Splitter, Session Box, Ghost Browser. You can use Firefox profiles. You can use Chrome profiles. There's a number of things that you can do that you don't need Browseo for anymore. Like there's a project that Cyril Jeet just came out with called Logi or something, but I couldn't get it to work. So I refunded that today. No shit. But there's, session splitters, whatever, browser keepers. Those are all like, there's a bunch of them now. At the time, Browseo was like revolutionary. There was nothing like it. but now there's a bunch of them. In fact, I was going to look on AppSumo today to see if there's any session keepers on AppSumo, just to see if I could find something with a one-time fee. But
yeah, I was going to say too, real quick, that the good news to this might be that if we do come out with something, there probably is going to be stuff you can learn from that will be available for free through Content Kingpin. Because or Content King, sorry, obviously we will be putting out, you can buy articles, things like that, but we also want to help people understand how, the process works, because that's part of it is, hey, if you want to do it yourself, that's great. We're not trying to stop you, but, if you want it done quickly and done very, very well, then, you can come and buy it as well. So I think that will be the way to go in the future, is that we'll update stuff around content creation through Content Kings. And then you'll be able to buy it as well if you just want to get it done faster, because like Bradley's saying, a lot of this stuff uses tools that are obsolete, but the methods are the same. And we're updating as we go now with like using AI tools, using different metrics, things like that.
Yeah, and curating content, like again, the principle hasn't changed at all. It's the same exact method that my team still uses. In fact, we still use Feedly, which is covered in Curation Content Kingpin, which used to be called Curation Mastery. Anyways, my team still uses Feedly. That hasn't changed. And we curate manually. And I taught that in the course, and that hasn't changed. Like there's different apps, and there has been over the years. There's been different plugins like WordPress plugins and everything else that. And there's third-party apps that you can, that will integrate with WordPress that have like, their own dashboards, and you go in and you curate content there. It's not what my team does. Still to this day, they curate manually. My content team goes in the Feedly. We have a Feedly Pro account. We have all these different content boards, as they're called, which are basically categories that we've added a whole bunch of feeds to, and we also pay my content team to go out once a month. They'll spend about 3 or 4 hours, sometimes 5 hours, just going and finding relevant content and adding it to the board. And then they go curate that content to create blog posts for my clients. Because I don't do consistent blogging for lead gen assets, but I do for clients. It's part of the retainer. So, and it's interesting because a lot of my clients, and I know it probably happens on even sites that don't blog continuously, but because we do blog continuously, we get a lot of outreach from link builders that say, hey man, you guys, because all our blogs are for local businesses, so it's all topically relevant around a particular topic. So we get a lot of link builders that are reaching out to us asking like, hey, you guys have a lot of content, and we're looking for more exposure for our site, which means they want to link. Would you mind placing a link in this post? And they'll share one of the link to one of the posts in the email, say like, so they're looking for what's called a link insertion or a niche edit. And they'll even say like, we're happy to even compensate you for it. And so some of my clients have actually turned, because we blog consistently and all we do is curated content for their blogs. But some of my clients have actually, started generating some revenue from their local business sites because we constantly have been blogging with curated content in a particular topical category, and other companies and essentially SEO companies have reached out to them and asked them like, hey, would you mind placing a link in this article and that article? We don't mind, because we're linking out to other people's content as part of the curated content anyways. So it's still a viable method. It still works. We still do everything manually just because that's how I taught my team how to do it. That same training that you're referencing. I never used Curation Suite. I never used it. Everything that we do, we still do manually. My team still logs in the WordPress dashboard. They go to Feedly. They find a topic that they're going to blog about for the day. And they curate an article right there inside of WordPress. They schedule it, either publish it or schedule it for publishing, and that's it. So I don't plan on updating that. And if I do, it'll be under the Content King brand for sure. Content King's brand, excuse me. All right, we're almost done. Another one was, I launched a new blog in the pets niche, new domain. After 9 months, I have 70 articles and 50% of them are ranking in the 20s. But because the niche is so competitive, those rankings are not generating organic traffic. Still no domain authority. Should I shift my focus to backlinks or keep plowing away at writing articles? Well, I mean, I know there are some people that, I know there are some case studies that you'll see in some groups about people becoming a topical authority with just content alone with no backlinks. And then all of a sudden their traffic explodes. And so it's really up to you. If you keep publishing content around the topic and hit it from every different type of angle you could possibly think, then eventually you could become, and I say eventually, it could be tomorrow, it could be 6 months from now, it could be 2 years from now, because it is a competitive industry. So if you want to shortcut your ability to get exposure, links, links is the way to do it. There's no question, in my opinion. You can still, right now, because of the semantic web, you can become the topical authority on something, and basically Google will serve your site, your articles above everyone else's, because it thinks you're the topical authority. But how much work is it going to take? How much content is it going to take? How long are you going to keep at it before it starts generating revenue? You know what I mean? So how do you shortcut that? Well, with links, links and social and engagement signals, which can be done with, if you got articles and stuff that people engage with, that get shared on social media, social shares, and people engage on it, that can also be a signal, but you can manipulate that with CTR, right? Click-through rate manipulation. But backlinks is still a very powerful part of SEO. It's less of an overall piece of the pie, the ranking pie, so to speak, but it's still very, very powerful. Still very important. So yeah, links for sure. But like I keep talking about though, guys, with semantically relevant links, that's why my link building service is called Semantic Links. That's where I've seen the most results. It's crazy because I've been doing this now for about 2 months. I switched from just doing like traditional link building to what I call semantic links, which are finding source domains that were topically relevant to their intended target, and then rebuilding that. When I say rebuilding, but I mean just putting a new site on with topically relevant content, and not building PBNs, but just each domain I purchase is literally 2 or at most 3 link targets. And it's all for the same asset or the same entity, the same brand. And that's it. So they're HTML pages. And I'm telling you, it's crazy the amount of results that I'm seeing since I really just focused on my link building efforts to that. It's just across the board, I'm seeing significant results. It's because it's topical relevance. And I think that's the most important thing. Vanity metrics like domain authority and page authority and DR and all that. I know that's how most people still sell links, but in my opinion, they're just, if they're not topically relevant, if the source domain, the page can be relevant, but if the source domain itself isn't relevant to its intended target, then it's just not as powerful, as my opinion, as a site, a source domain that has much less of those traditional metrics, but it's fully relevant to its intended target. That moves the needle a hell of a lot more than paying. And I know, because I've even bought, $300 guest posts, no shit, that just didn't produce much of a result at all. The page might have been relevant, but the source domain wasn't. And so $300 gone, when I can go out and register a domain for 10, 12, 15 bucks that was relevant to my intended target. And I can pay my team to develop the content, pay my site builder to create the HTML site, upload it. And my costs are, $60 to have that rebuilt domain that was topically relevant. And that link produces much more of an effect than the $300 guest post that was sold to me on DR, DA, and traffic metrics. I can manipulate traffic with CT spam bots, like click-through rate manipulation, CTR booster, Viper tools, any of those, right? So I can go out and spend 50, 60 bucks registering a domain, putting relevant, well-tuned, optimized content on a source domain that was topically relevant for its intended target. And then pay my team, content team, the builder, the site builder, to develop the HTML template or the site, upload it to hosting, and then I run CTR traffic through it. My costs are 60 bucks ish, and it produces a hell of a lot better result than a $300 guest post. And so, the reason I'm telling you that is because, again, if you put all this work into all this content for a site and you're not ranking it well and you're not getting a lot of traffic yet, links. Build some links, but not just any kind of links, topically relevant links, in my opinion. That's what you should be focusing on. All right, next, Vance says, hey, gents, keyword stuffing or inserting schema in an iframe URL have any positive SEO effect? Thank you. You mean keyword stuffing the schema? I'm not sure. I know, I think, like in the iframe tag before the closing frame tag, putting in like schema there and stuff. Yeah, that can work. Some places will strip it out depending on where you're publishing it though. So just be careful with that. But yeah, I mean, that's kind of a hack that we've been doing for 3-4 years now. So I don't know about keyword stuffing. I do put a keyword though. If and I don't often put schema before the closing frame tag. That's, I don't typically do that. But I do put keywords there. Not stuff, but I do put like target keywords in that right before the closing frame tag, right between the end of the source tag and the frame tag, right there. You put a keyword because it won't show in the page, like, so it's in the code. But I do like to put keywords there, not one keyword per iframe, if that makes sense. So yeah, I do that. So if I do it consistently, there's a reason for it. I don't typically do the schema though, but you can certainly do that. I just don't typically do that, but you can. We're almost out of time. Jim says, hey, gang, do you have a comprehensive list of cloud hosts you're willing to share? Azure, S3, GCloud, DigitalOcean, and Alibaba are the big ones. But I've heard that people are successful with other smaller cloud hosts. Thanks. No, I don't. I just use the big ones too. I use cloudboss.pro, which is for hosting my rebuilt domains. And they have a few other services that they connect to, but I've not tried hosting like cloud pages on them because I don't know that they have. I think they do though, like storage, like Vulture would be one of them. Linode, Joyent, which I haven't been able to get to work. DigitalOcean. Well, you've listed DigitalOcean, but I've not tried like their storage solutions for HTML page hosting. I've not tried it, so I don't know. I do have some servers on there, but they're for, and they're just HTML pages, but they're using the domain or a domain. So anyways, I've not tested that, Jim. By the way, I just downloaded FileZilla today because I set up a light sail server today for some of my link building stuff. And I was trying to connect with FTP with FileZilla and I still can't get it to work. But if you go into FileZilla and you look, like in the settings, like they have a big list of like different templates for FTP connections. And I was just scrolling through that today. That might give you some ideas, Jim, as different cloud hosts to test. Because if you go into like the settings, connection settings in FTP or at FileZilla, excuse me, it's this long list of different connection templates. And so you might want to check that out and see if there's, I was just scrolling through it. I was like, damn, there's all these different types of FTP connections. And some of those could probably be used for cloud pages. So that might give you some ideas. All right, the last one, Mr. Webb 2.0. Okay, it says, howdy, y'all. Would you consider setting up a long-term money site on a .company TLD? The .com and others are taken due to being generic. However, with this TLD, my website would have a brandable angle. That would make sense. Never used this TLD before. Not sure if it has SEO or other business consequences. Yeah, I've not had any problem ranking those types of sites. One of my tree service sites is .care. So it's company name tree.care. I've been able to rank that, no problem. I've also got my when I was flipping real estate, I stopped doing that, but I was flipping vacant land. And it was alphaland.realty, net.realty domain. I had no problem ranking that. So obviously .coms, .nets, .orgs, typical, top level domains, but I've not had any problem ranking those. So I'd give it a shot.
There are a few like XYZ who got blatantly abused like a couple of years ago. I'm not sure like what's the status on those. But
yeah, but I don't think .company would be a problem. Like I said, some of those I've .realty, .care, a few of the .pro, I've ranked some of those. So I don't think it would be a problem. Nigel says, and we got to wrap it up. Nigel says, good day, gents. Had a question on cold traffic and traffic exchanges. Have weirdly been having some conversions coming sporadically from it. However, wondering if additional value can be taken from it, or was that a fluke and waste of time? Thanks as much. Always appreciate it. And what's up, Nigel? Because I know you always comment on YouTube and stuff. I don't know. Cold traffic and traffic exchanges. The only thing I worry about with like the traffic exchange stuff is like bounce rate. If they're not, if they're not dwelling or clicking through multiple pages once they land on your intent, your target URL, could it be a problem? So that's part of the reason I've stayed away from them. But if you're getting some value out of it and it's working, if it's not hurting your SEO from like bounce, too high of a bounce rate, sure, why not? And last one, Jim says, I never thought of checking something like FileZilla. Thanks for the tip. Yeah, Jim, no problem. I was just in it earlier today and I was just like, wow, there's a lot of damn FTP connections. And some of those I was thinking like, there's probably some SEO value from those. So Anyway, it was ended up being a really good one. So